thrashed and there's nothing left, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you have, you know, a CrossFit competition, right?
Okay.
Let's say you have a CrossFit competition.
Yeah.
If you're training 100% day in and day out leading up to that, there's nothing left.
Okay.
Right? There's nothing left. There's no, I mean, your body's not recovering properly. Your body's not, its ability to respond to stress and stimulus isn't going to be as consistent as it would if you were doing everything sub-max.
Right.
And then gradually building up. And then when competition comes, then you just open it up and you just tear it up. And so when you look at it like that, you can see it's easy. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there were every CrossFit game, every year, we get this
influx of injuries.
Not necessarily influx, but we see the statistics, and a lot of the injuries are really failures, right? You get ruptures, right, which are failures, right. So when the tendon can no longer tolerate that load, it fails or snaps or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But what we're seeing is that if you look back at their training, they were training pretty aggressive the entire time.
Right.
And not necessarily appreciating that it takes time to build up, but that build up should peak at your performance level, and then you got to come back down. Right. Yeah. You peaks at competition, then it comes back down and then levels off.
I was going to say, for powerlifting, it's a little bit different. At least in my perspective. And I think it's probably my biggest issue when I'm training other people, because there is a method called the conjugate method that was really brought up in like the old school methods, where we would acclimate almost every week on each lift. So like I would max out my squat, bench, deadlift on a weekly basis. I would have periodization where I don't, but because the competition is all literally 9 lifts, 3 lifts of each exercise, I'm not really exceeding my max volume, and that's where it differs. So I train harder in practice or my own training versus competition. So once competition time comes, for me, it's just like, oh, okay.
Right.
Cool.
Well, but and like you said, I think it's specific to
competition.
But if you're looking at, for example, even with boxers, boxers are not training balls to the wall from day one until like competition, right? Yeah. It's a gradual build up, and so when when it's fight time, that's when their fitness is peaking,
right.
Right. So, but I think in powerlifting, again, I don't have a huge history, or I don't work with a lot of powerlifters.
Okay.
But I think that, who compete like that.
Right.
But I think it makes sense that your events are very short, quick bursts, and then that's that.
Right.
Right. As opposed to, someone who's got you're dealing with endurance and power at the same time.
Right. Like cardio.
So I think it's just different. And I think that the training methods are different, and I think that's kind of what I was saying earlier, that it's so important for me to connect with other like-minded people, because that's just a new tidbit that I didn't know about.
Right.
I just learned something new. So I think it's vitally important that that you learn and you take away from that, and also realize that you probably don't know as much as you think you know.
Right.
And I think you've got to be open to that idea and be okay with that.
Yeah.
Be okay. And sometimes it's perfectly okay to say, I don't know why you're hurting, or I don't know why you're not making any progress.
Right.
Rather than trying to make an excuse for it, or make something up to rationalize it.
Yeah. Because like me, my background with sports was playing football, wrestling, a lot of team sports where cardio is very essential. And going into the powerlifting world, competitions do last like 9 hours for 9 lifts.
Yeah.
So it's almost ridiculous to think you can max out your squat in the first 3 hours time frame, and then let your body calm back down. In the next 3 hours, you have to max out again within 3 lifts for your bench press, and then again for your deadlift, because it's just mentally taxing. And that's the biggest thing that I guess this is more sport specific, but I honestly train calm, and it's very rare for me to find other power lifters specifically who train calm as well. So for when I teach my philosophy and methods, it's almost absurd. Like, why are you so at ease?
Yeah. Well, I think that makes, I mean, training, you have to be calm.
Yeah.
Performance, you have to be calm. You know, and I think that's an important attribute. And I think that's what sets you apart.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that I often get that too. Like, wow, you're pretty relaxed about this stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty, like, because it is. I mean, there's not much you can do. You can't change people. Mm-hmm. All you can do is just nudge them.
Right.
You can just nudge. You can't shove them into new behaviors. You can't, you know, trick them into doing more. You just have to nudge them into changing their behaviors. And that's pretty much, you know, what coaches and healthcare providers do when they're working with people, is that we're nudging. We're nudgers. We just nudge. Like, oh, that's great. Try this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Let's move on to this. As opposed to, I need you to change the way you lift, or I need, because that's not realistic either.
Right.
Oh, I need you to change the way you squat, because everyone squats differently.
Yeah.
And
I think now it made me realize something that makes us very synergetic is that we share that trait, that character trait, that we're very calm,
just relaxed.
Yeah, but I mean, we still perform at a high level.
Yeah, just relax and just don't make it weird.
Yeah, but I think my biggest thing, I guess this is where I was getting at in terms of the fitness philosophy, is that we are almost like anomalies in sports in general, because most people, like, especially when I go to like random gyms, if I'm just visiting, it's like, oh, did you take your pre-workout? Did you do this? Did you do that? Like me personally, I've taken pre-workout maybe less than I can count on my fingers. And I never understood when people tell me like, oh, I had a long day at work, I did this, I did that, but like, you shouldn't rely on that.
Yeah. And I think that's
it's almost like substance abuse, like, literally.
But that's what clever marketing does, right? Clever marketing is convince people that they need this.
Really?
Right? I mean, I think that's always going to be the case, and you know, it's like once that's out of the bottle, it's hard to bottle it back. Okay. Right? It's impossible. I mean, try to tell someone who's taking that to, nah, you probably don't need it anymore. Like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
This is what I do.
This is my life.
Coming full circle, that's exactly what happens with foam rolling. Right? It's like this. It's the same mindset. It's like, okay, you know, somebody told me that if I do this, I'm going to break this up. I'm going to stretch this, or I'm going to reduce this. So that's what I do. But telling someone like you shouldn't foam roll is like telling someone, you know, it's like telling someone they shouldn't take pre-workout. Okay, they're gonna be like, you're crazy.
That makes sense.
But you have to. But the only way you can do that is to really find out what it is that they're doing and what it is that they think is happening. Okay. And then you can help them kind of see things differently. But you can't, like, don't take that, it's stupid, or evidence says that it doesn't work. Yeah. Obviously,
they don't want to hear that.
No one's going to want to listen to that, and that is not something that is going to be received well.
Right. All right. How about changing lanes? I want to know what's your current curiosity, or what's on your mind with clients, or in the current state of physical therapy. Like, what are you like currently researching?
Oh, man, trying to learn about? I'm doing a lot more work now with bone density patients. Okay, and I'm trying to, you know, because they're all,
as you age, your bone density goes down, right?
Yes, that's one thing that happens. But what we see is that exercise and lots of powerlifting like exercises actually can significantly reduce that risk and reduce
reduce bone density?
Reduce the effects of bone density loss.
Oh.
Right. Reduces the effects. So
they're more rigid, right? With heavy lifting.
The heavier you lift, there's a law called Wolff's Law. Okay. Where basically it says the more stress, the more you stress a bone, the stronger it gets. Okay. The stronger it gets, the more resilient it gets.
So it's almost like the Darwin thought, only strong survive?
No. No, it's not Darwinism at all. This is just a principle that says the more you can stress a bone, the stronger it gets. So squats, lunges, deadlifts, these are all stressors that put a lot of tremendous pressure on bone, muscle, and ligaments, tendons, etc.
Okay.
But what happens over time is that your body actually stimulates more growth and more deposit or more bone deposit. So you actually get
calcium deposit.
Yeah, calcium. But you get thicker. You get thicker bones, and you get better connections. Right. You get more robust connective tissue.
So there is such a thing as being big boned.
Yeah, there is such a thing as being big boned. Yeah, but I mean, and it's so funny you mentioned that because again, it's very rare that you're going to see an overweight person with osteoporosis, right?
So define that for me. Osteoporosis.
Osteoporosis is what. So basically, osteopenia and osteoporosis are all conditions of bone loss or levels of bone loss, right?
Okay.
So depending on they do a special test that measures bone density.
Yeah.
And based on that bone density, you get a number, and that number tells you where you are in that, whether you're, osteopenic, which is like you're losing some, but not that bad, to osteoporosis, where you've lost a significant amount of bone mass. And basically, osteoporosis, just as the name sounds, you get these tiny little holes in the bone, right? And the more the holier they get,
they get brittle,
right? They get more brittle, which means that your risk for fractures goes up.
So, like I'm having a little brain blast right now. So,
brain blast.
When I'm thinking about overweight people, so overweight people, they have more weight on their bodies, meaning more weight is pressured onto their bones. Are they strengthening their bones in a way, but then reducing their health?
They do have better bone density, but again, I think I'd have to confirm that with a couple of research articles. I can't completely confirm that, but what we do see is that obviously they're not going to be suffering from fractures, hip fractures.
Yeah.
But again, the risk benefit analysis is a bit skewed. But I think that's a valid research topic. That's what I'm looking into is like if you think about even when it comes to weight loss, right? Yeah. I mean, the skinnier you are, the harder it is to lose weight, right? The more fit you are, the harder it is to lose weight. Yeah. Because it takes more energy.
Body fat percentages.
Well, not just body fat, but it takes more energy to do the same amount of work as if you were, let's say if you're 30 pounds heavier, it takes you a lot, it uses more energy to move a body that's 30 pounds heavier than 30 pounds lighter.
Okay.
Right? So that's part of the reason why it takes more energy to maintain a certain physique, right? It takes more energy to maintain a certain body style or a body image, right? So if you're saying, hey, I need to lose weight, it's important to realize that losing weight is a lifestyle change. Right. And you have to stay on top of it. It's not just, okay, I got to my goal, done. Yeah. Because it will take you even more effort to maintain that level. So that's kind of coming back with the, life goals and stressors, right? You've got to you got to pick your poison. Right. You got to be okay with the decisions that you make. Like, hey, if you want to look a certain way, you got to realize there's some sacrifices that you're going to be making.
Let me give you a data point, actually. So when I first got into the military, it was like your lifestyle is whatever your drill instructor was telling you in boot camp. Like my first 2 years in the Marine Corps, I was that was my lowest weight for like my adult life. Like I got down to 135 pounds, but I was fast. Like the athletic requirement for the Marine Corps is a 3-mile run, max set of pull-ups, and max set of sit-ups. And yeah, I could probably run a 3-mile under 20 minutes at that time because of my weight. Fast forward 2-3 years down the road, when I became a reservist and I came back home and I got to live a lifestyle where I'm not running every day, I gained back right out of boot camp. I got back to like 145 because that's where I was eating. I was not malnourished. And then at that point, I was still running maybe like a sub 21 3-mile, and I could still max out at 20 pull-ups at the time. But then again, I was gonna say fast forward another 4 years in the military, I got up to the highest I've been ever. I think it's 170. Okay. I could not do